Hello everybody and welcome back to the Healthy Orange Movie Reviews, the show where we bring you film criticism that is honest, insightful, and not least of all fun. I'm your host Bennett Campbell Ferguson, and do you all really want to introduce yourselves again since we just shot our dope review?
I don't know. Did you go watch the dope review?
Yeah. Go see dope.
Yeah.
In the interim.
Real quick, go watch the intro to our dope video. Come back to this one, and once you finish this video, go back to that one and finish that one. It's really good.
And I'm Mo.
Mo, Max, Allie, you know me, I'm Ben, / Bennett.
There we go. Good.
Alright, we're back to review Ant-Man from Marvel Studios, from Peyton Reed, from Paul Rudd, from all the gang.
And not Edgar Wright.
Not Edgar Wright.
Oh.
So how do you think this movie would have been different if he Hamilton were directed it?
I don't know. I don't like to speculate on these things because it makes me sad. I would love to live in the reality where Edgar Wright directed Ant-Man.
The reality where Bryan Singer directed The Last Stand.
Yes, it still breaks my heart, yeah. I'm gonna see him do Phoenix,
But I think like the only thing is that it felt like a lot of the comedy was more laid back than what Edgar Wright usually does. Because usually with him it's very snappy, it's very on point, it's very sharp. And of course there's like all these background gags that keep getting brought up. And I feel like with Peyton Reed, him and Adam McKay turned out to be good choices. It's very laid back. It's not like we're here to make jokes. It comes from characters and it comes from situations, like you said. So I don't know. Maybe the action would be stronger, but honestly, this was really good what we got. So I'm glad with what we got. I don't feel like speculating on anything else.
I have a hard time speculating on how it would look. Personally, every time I go see an Edgar Wright film, I almost feel like it changes slightly from the last one in a great way.
Someone
you see
would be eating a cornetto.
Probably. That would probably been the only shot. I feel like it would have probably been set way sooner. I feel like if Edgar Wright had been available, this would have been a maybe phase 1, maybe phase 2 at the latest movie. I really don't think they would have waited this long. Because they were like, oh yeah, you should totally do Ant-Man. He's like, I'd love to do Ant-Man. And then he's like, but I'm going to go do these things first. And they're like, oh yeah, just take your time. Come back whenever.
Just do your Scott Pilgrim and your Hot Fuzz.
Exactly. And go do your thing. And then he came back and he's like, I'm ready. And I feel like
had changed.
The game had changed, and I feel like Ant-Man probably would have been a part of the Avengers. If in the perfect world, if Edgar Wright was like, I'm gonna do Ant-Man, they're like, go for it, and he's like, I'm on it. Like they would have let him do probably whatever he wanted to do. So that's the only real thing I could see is, but I mean, as far as style, every Edgar Wright movie it changes a little bit and just becomes something new and better. So that's what I think, but I think you're right. The dialogue would have been more Edgar Wright.
And the other thing is that he uses editing and direction as comedic tools in addition to dialogue.
I'm a little more pessimistic. I think
what a surprise.
Edgar Wright. Forget one of the greatest comedy directors of our era. He's one of the greatest auteurs of our era.
Yeah.
When he says he wants to do a movie for you. You bow before him. You take orders from him. And, that said, I'm not too hung up on that because, like you said, we got a good movie.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't wish, this Ant-Man out of existence, to get Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. And, I was thinking about what you said about the frenetic element, and it would be more frenetic. It might have been funnier.
This does bring up the criticism. There have been directors who've gone on to do the Marvel movies. They're like, Jon Favreau, he's like, I want to do an Iron Man movie. They're like, oh yeah, sure, can you work within these confines? He's like, yeah, I can do that. And he doesn't call that like death. He's just like, but then there's the director of Thor: The Dark World is like, hey, we have this plan in effect. Someone else is supposed to direct him, some female.
Patty Jenkins, yeah.
She was supposed to direct it.
Wonder Woman.
And she set it up and she was like, this is what we're going to do. And then she's like, I'm out. And then he's like, hey, you're going to step in, Alan Taylor, and do Thor: The Dark World. And he's like, I want to do these things. Like, well, we kind of have all this stuff set up. We really just want you to helm this movie at this point. And he called it the worst experience of his life. He actually recently said, I wouldn't wish the Marvel experience upon anyone. He goes, they don't get creative freedom. I'm like, I feel like they do give you the creative freedom depending on the situation.
I've heard it described as Marvel hires auteur directors to do producer-driven films. And I feel like that's accurate. I feel like that's like Kenneth Branagh worked well there, Joe Johnston, the Russos, James Gunn definitely, Joss Whedon.
I mean, yeah, Joss Whedon, or not Joss, James Gunn said that he had a lot of free will and creative. I mean, I just find it weird. Like
Guardians is so far outside the continuity that it's just kind of, you know, go bonkers.
But that one,
I mean, it's not like someone else is gonna walk in and want to use Cosmo the space dog.
Well, what's awesome is that I really feel like Guardians of the Galaxy felt like a James Gunn movie in the Marvel universe, and Iron Man 3 felt different than the other two Iron Man movies. So I really feel like Shane Black kind of got he's like, I'm just gonna spin it my way. They're like, go for it. And I feel like Iron Man feels like a Shane Black film.
Sometimes they can sometimes directors in Marvel can mesh really well.
Yeah, maybe that's just it.
And it seems like the timeline would have to play a huge part in that. I mean,
that too,
there's so many moving pieces going on. I mean, if you come on at the very beginning, it seems like, yeah, if you're involved in the script and your initial processes and getting it set up, yeah, you could have a role in that. But if you're coming in to replace somebody who's already done all of that, I mean,
you're kind of
can't really expect them to go back and start that whole process over.
I want to weigh in on this whole director thing. I do think there's, something dangerous when it is, it becomes more the producer's prerogative, the studio's prerogative, because, the films that, really change the world, really captures people's imagination, they are the ones that really, start and end with the director. And every movie's made by committee. This is a communal art form, but I think you have to err on the side of accommodating a filmmaker's eccentricities.
Think about it. This goes all the way back to patrons of Renaissance artists. I mean, if I'm going to pay for you to live in my castle and give you money, I'm also going to expect you to paint some things that I want you to paint. It's like if it seems like if I'm putting up the money or I'm going to support your endeavor even if it's not exactly what I ordered, I mean, you're naturally going to feel some ownership and want to have some say in it.
Yeah, well, and then, it depends on who owns the castle. Honestly, if it was me, I'm like, sure, I'll work in Feige's castle. I'll do what you want. But Brett Reiner's like, want to live in my castle? I'm like, no, I don't. Take away.
No one wants it.
So I guess it really depends who owns the castle, and so.
Yeah. I mean, are you going to be able to work with those people or not?
Let's go back to the original Spider-Man film, which we all like that film, right? I think.
I mean, up for a while, the highest grossing opening movie of all time, only to be beaten by its sequel.
Right. Well, the producer of that movie, most of the Spider-Man films, Laura Ziskin, was really prolific, and I think one thing that she did well is that she looked at. She took a long time to say, yes, Sam Raimi, you can do this movie. She was not, going to hastily jump into something that she thought might be a good idea or might be a bad idea. And I think but in the end, she did say yes to him. She trusted him. And if you look at Sam Raimi's other films, Spider-Man is a Sam Raimi film. It has Sam Raimi's style, it has Sam Raimi's voice. And Laura Ziskin and Sony Pictures, they were there. They were a part of the process. Sam Raimi said, "I want Tobey Maguire." They said, "Sorry, that guy's weird looking. We're going to screen test a bunch of other people first." And then, finally they said, we've looked at the screen tests. You're right, And so I think that's the perfect balance, the symbiosis, of where, like you're talking about, the patrons of artists, it's your investment, you're hiring someone to create a product, you want to make sure they create the best product possible, and then adding that little bit of trust and allowing them to, express themselves, because these, filmmakers, all of them, like all the Marvel people we're talking about, Jon Favreau, Kenneth Branagh, Joss Whedon, they are artists, and they, deserve a chance to kind of, tell stories within their specific voice.